Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this amazing episode with Youri Keulen. I just wanted to say that this podcast is brought to you by Fuelin, the best nutrition and fueling app there is out there on the market right now that really takes away all the guesswork and simplifies everything for you to perform and feel your best. So please check it out on fuelin.com. They're the reason this show can keep going. Thanks for listening, and we're back to the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daily Try, another podcast today that I'm so excited about. Today we've got one of the brightest stars up and coming in the sport of triathlon. He's 24 years old and coming off of a 6th place at the 70.3 World Championships. If you don't know Youri, you all will by the end of this, and you should know him because he is on a path to some top results in the future. So Youri, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to learn all about you and your story.
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for having me and giving that kind of nice introduction. I always feel a bit ashamed, but let's say it's humble.
Well, man, I first actually saw you personally on a couple of interviews, and I remember seeing this article that showed a couple of interviews of you, and you just seemed like someone who's so passionate and you just love the sport.
And I wanted to do this for him because I have the ability to do what I want and to be an athlete, but those people in Ukraine not. They are fighting for themselves to survive, and I'm fighting here out against the best guys in the world. And that's then second priority, because all our priority is in Ukraine and get those people better again.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign, but I just really I really tell what's on my heart. I think that's a personality thing. I see it as well with my brother and sister and my parents. Like we're Dutch, and we just say what's on us. Like, yeah, what we just want to say. And I think I say a lot of things with passion, and yeah, I think that's a good thing, but sometimes a bit more quiet would be good as well. But I haven't had any complaints about it yet, so let's keep doing that. I hope I have more interviews.
Absolutely. Good. I loved it. Well, tell us a little bit about your background, Youri. How did you eventually come to the sport of triathlon? But I want to first know, where you're from and all about you.
Well, maybe it's funny to say because I'm a triplet. I'm the oldest of a triplet. I'm not the only one in the triathlon who's a triplet.
Really?
I know Sam Long is a triplet as well.
That's right.
I'm not sure 100%, but I think Holly Lawrence as well.
Okay.
But you should check on that.
Okay.
Before you put anything out there with like the triplet episode or something like that.
Yeah.
Just check on that first. We've been born with 27 weeks, and we were all 3 very premature. Born and raised in the Netherlands, with my brother, sister, lovely, warm house. Everyone was welcome. I started playing football, soccer, as you Americans call it, at the age of 4, because every kid in the neighborhood was playing soccer at that time. And I thought, well, if my friends are doing that, then I made my parents that crazy to sign me up. And I kind of fell in love with the sport. I played at a decent level, like the national league, national team of my age. Wow. But at one point, I just kind of lost the fun in it on a young age, because they kind of see if you're good in football that they can make a lot of money out of you over time if you're that once in a lifetime or once in every period like talent. Let's say like the Messi or the Ronaldo of your generation, or and they always hope to find that everywhere. But I kind of lost the fun in it a bit. I was sitting more on the bench than I was actually playing at a high level. So I started athletics because the athletic club was next to the football club. And apparently I was quite good in that. I won some sprints, and I developed as an 800-meter runner. I became national champ twice for juniors, and national champ in the cross, like the cross country.
Jeez.
I enjoyed that, but that in 2012 they cut the funding for the national team and the talent program, and I just needed a new challenge, and that's where triathlon came on my path. I had no idea how to swim. I learned that at the age of 15, 16.
Wow.
And yeah, 3 years later, I qualified as the first junior in years for the ITU World Championships in Cozumel that time. Maybe we'll mention Cozumel later this podcast, but I don't know.
All right.
And actually, I figured out that I was quite okay in it. I had a decent level to come at the Worlds. I wasn't really competitive at that time. But if you go back in the results now, you see guys like Freddie Funk and Jason West, they were racing there as well. So it's quite funny that the guys who were not in the front are still racing in 70.3 now, and they're like world-class athletes.
Yeah.
So then after 8 years being part of the Dutch Federation, I decided to split of multiple reasons. I moved 2 years ago to Girona, the place where I live now, and start focusing more on 70.3. My first 70.3 as a pro on a TT bike that I borrowed for 2 weeks. I run a 108 half marathon off the bike, and I thought, okay, maybe there's something in here.
Yeah.
So I start working half a winter on like preparing for a proper 70.3 or shorter, or like a bit more like a more individual event. And I finished fourth in Clash Miami directly after that winter. And that was the moment that I really thought, okay, I think this is much more for me than Olympic distance. And after a lot of bumps on the first year and inexperience, and like I really had to develop myself again on every single way, like business way, coaching way, training way, every single way. And now, 2 years later, I got sixth in the world, and I can't be more happy about that.
Wow. I bet
so that's the story.
No, I bet you're not missing short course at all, I bet, in this moment.
No. I did this year national champs Olympic distance.
That's right.
And I really like the tactic part of the race, like the fact that you can sit in someone's wheel and like adjust on race situations on the day itself more than you can in 70.3. But yeah, if you race 70.3 Lottie with all those big names in the race, it's becoming tactical as well, and it's kind of the same intensity as an Olympic distance but only longer. And so, no, I'm not missing it. I just like the sport too much to not race Olympic distance anymore. So I really like the sport in every discipline. Like if they would call me up for Super League tomorrow, I would do it as well. It's just, I like the sport so much, but I have the feeling that it's more, 70.3 is more for me. And it's a better place for me to develop and becoming a better athlete than Olympic distance or sprint distance.
I love that. And we're going to get to your Lottie race in detail in a bit. I just wanted to hear like what you were doing at the start when because you said you were with the federation. Then when you went over to doing it on your own, did you pick up a coach or did you start self-training? How did that all come about?
Well, we can go a bit more in detail about that. I was 8 years part of the federation, and in the end of Olympic cycle, everything changes. It's everywhere, like at brands, bike brands, like let's say everywhere, national federations, new coaches come in and go out. And I wasn't happy anymore with the approach they had at the federation. I had some doubts about how the coaching from coach to athlete to me was, and the other way around, like there was no trust anymore or anything like that. And before I moved out of the federation, I already set it up. So if I would step out, that I had already everything set up to step into a new plan already. So in 2020, I found a guy, we were sharing a room in a hotel together at the training camp in Namibia. His name is Kai Reus, and he was a ex-pro cyclist. At that moment, he was preparing for the hour record. So I met him in 2020. That was 2 years before I left the federation, and I thought I had all the stereotypes about old cyclists already. Like they only eat pasta with red sauce. They lay the whole day in bed. If I walk in the room, they're probably naked. Like all the stereotypes you read in the books or you see in those like the movies as the program or something like that, which none of them were true. As well, not the naked part, but that's. So I met him and we became very close friends. And I thought after 3 weeks, okay, we have a nice time and then you move on with your life. But we actually stayed super close in contact. And he said to me after the training camp, Youri, I'm gonna help you in whatever reason or in like whatever way I can. So, and that built slowly, like the trust in that built slowly. And after 1.5 years, he said, I can't see this anymore. It's going nowhere. And like, this is a waste of talent. If you keep going like this, you will probably be working in a store or something else in 3 years. And I can't see that. So then he found his old coach, which is a speed skating coach.
Okay.
And his name is Kosta Poltovets. And he's from the Ukraine. He moved to the Netherlands 35 years ago, speaks full Dutch, has a Dutch passport, lives in the Netherlands, but he worked with speed skaters always. But his background is triathlon.
No way.
And at that moment, he still had a contract with a team until the Olympics of, where was that, Beijing, I think.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he couldn't coach me directly at that moment. And he had us first as well, like how that goes with very experienced coaches. Like they first wait a bit. And then when they have the feeling, okay, there's something behind, I step in. So he found another coach for me, which was the old coach of Javier Gomez, Carlos Prieto. And that was for me like, yeah, I always thought like, okay, if I leave the federation, I will step down, which was actually never the case for me. I always stepped up because actually I started working with world-class coaches for the first time in my life. Who are like with a personal approach to me. Like the plan was completely written for me. Or wrote for me. Like there was actually structure that I created myself with the coaches around me. So I have to say because at the federation I did close to like 95% all endurance, which was 5% intensity. And the intensity was always very short. So like only sprints or if max 1,000 on the track.
Eesh.
Like I didn't, before I left the federation, I didn't do a track session in 2 years, which is what I do now nearly twice a week.
Yeah.
So there was a big change in that, which both ways are not bad or good, but just a different approach. And the first, let's say, 2 months, I really need to adjust that, but as well more on nutrition wise than actually on intensity wise, because I wasn't used to burn so many carbs. When you do intensity, you need to get carbs in you.
Yeah,
so I really had to make a change in that as well. And as well in the communication, like I had to communicate every day with my coach how things were going because he was not live at the training. So I had to make it switch in that, but actually if I look back on it, it went all very quiet and calm and nicely. And I got directly good along with Carlos. And I'm very thankful for him because when I left the federation, I had no fun in the sport anymore, actually. I just kind of lost. I really liked the training, but I kind of lost the fun in racing. And he directly took that out of me. He said, well, if you train hard, he always said, if you don't train hard enough, you can better lay on the beach in Marbella than actually ripping your legs off on the track. So like very Spanish, but like on a very nice way. And slowly that kind of like I started kind of my own company after that, like with my coaches and my approach and the way of training. And because when you're at the federation, normally everything is taken care of. You show up at the pool, the lanes are rent. We ride at that time, we run at that time with the group. And now I had to like figure it out all myself. But I have to say, like the people around me, Guy, Reus as well, like sometimes we called 3 times a day just to talk through some things, through some problems. Like, is there something we can help you with? Is there something we have to do or we don't have to do? Like, just to figure it all out for me. And I can't be more thankful for that because without them, the transition from short course to long course would never be that smooth as it was. And to have a debut race as Miami on that stage, that was all we could ask for at that moment.
Yeah, what a start. Leading up into that race, did you feel like that was going to happen? Like, did you just have a bunch of confidence? And was your coach, for example, seeing it in the numbers?
No,
No.
I had literally no idea. I thought, okay, if I make top 15 in this race, I'm happy. And I was really like, I have just no idea what to expect. I really like, I felt good, but like the only reference I had was when I did short course racing. And I think you had a couple of short course athletes in the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you can be as good prepared as you want, but if there's so much different kind of influence in the race, like if someone can't hold the wheel in front of you, you can have the most amazing lags, but or someone crashes in front of you, your race can be over.
Yeah.
So the only reference I had was like those kind of experience. Like I have to be as good prepared as possible, but I still need a bunch of luck to come completely perfect through a race, which was in 17.3 is not the case. Like it's more in your own hands. Of course, there are situations where you need luck as well, but like way less than in 17.3. So when I actually heard like your fourth and I nearly catch Ben Knut in the last straight, I was like, what happened? Like I couldn't process it. Even the days after, like I couldn't just process it. I called my partners, my sponsors, and they were like watching it. And I think I couldn't ask for a better debut race as well with the live coverage, and like everyone was watching behind the telly, and I was super, super, super happy with that.
That's amazing. And you took that momentum pretty well, and you did great at the championship coming up after that. And Switzerland, you got your first win already just a few months later.
But I think that was a bit the problem as well, because I couldn't hold it for the whole season. Like after that, you see the curve going very much down.
Yeah.
Like, of course, there were like some problems. Like in Cozumel, for example, 17.3, I was in the lead after 15K. I just overheated and I was in the ambulance 10 minutes later. Like that's like an experience from an athlete as well. The athlete who travels the world alone. Like if you have someone there for you who's standing on the side who says, I would take it a bit more easy. Like you don't know what happens then, but like, let's say those errors I had to go through to get sixth in Lati. But yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was at that race at Cozumel. I raced it
Really?
myself with my dad. Yeah. And I also got heat stroke. Thankfully, I survived.
But just be honest. It was very hot that day. Yeah.
Woo!
Like it was not just me, right?
It was next level. Well, I don't know if you know this, but they ran out of water in the age group race towards the end of the age group race. That's how hot it was. Like people were literally dying. So, yeah, I don't blame you for not making that one. But I remember telling my dad, this is kind of a full circle moment for me, because he was like pointing at your guys' pro names on the stands, on your bike stands. And he was like, who should we look for? And I was like, you got to watch for Youri here. Yeah. So this is kind of a crazy moment. Yeah.
Well, it was a short watch on the run then, but
yeah. Well, we were both dying at that time.
I hope I made that up later.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's move into 2023. Starting off, you had a sixth at Clash Miami, and then tell us about that and moving all the way up into 70.3 Worlds. It's been a crazy busy year for you.
So I changed that year in this last winter. I changed a different approach.
Okay.
Carlos is an amazing trainer. Very happy with him and the way he helped me in the sport. But the most experience he has is in short course racing. And with Javier. And I think Javier is the Messi or the Ronaldo of our sport. Like once in a generation, you have a guy like that.
Yeah.
And I just missed a bit of a scientific approach. And yeah, you know as well, like with the guys who talk and like you see the racing as well, it's like nowadays it's like it's science. Yeah. It's literally science. Like how much watts a kilo can I push for that amount of time and how can I run after that? Like we literally know exactly what, like my coach now is putting the bike split already the day before the race in Training Peaks. And I think he hasn't been out of it like with 1 minute. I think the most he's been out of the split is like 45 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Like nowadays it's just like you can, if you're tracking data well during training, you can find everything out. So I made a change into a bike coach, which is working a lot with mountain bikers and pro cyclists. And I have to say that's a very different approach of the cycling part than usual. Like I never expected to do those kind of trainings.
Wow.
But the problem is with that, if you put more pressure and more pressure on one of the disciplines, that somehow it can happen that you get injured. So for the first time ever in my career, I got injured. I had an inflammation in my calf and I couldn't get control on it. So I didn't run for like 2 months, close to 2 months. But it was like nothing crazy, but like just not good enough to have a full winter with good miles. But on the other hand, I improved my FTP with like nearly 50 watts. So yeah, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
It happened. I'm not complaining, but I'm at least like, I knew before Miami, if I swim well, I do the bike, what I can do. I come into a race with I come in the situation in the race that I'm in the race, like that I'm in the mix. So I got off the bike 7th. I started running with like very less mileage in this winter. And my running coach said before to me, he said, I think, but I'm not going to put it in your head, but I think after 10 kilometers, you will get a struggle. Literally after 10 kilometers, I felt, there's no gear anymore. Like, this is it. And I have to go like to the finish now. And I did. And I got 6th. So I was very happy about that. Of course, knowing that with a better winter, there was maybe more possible, but it was like, it is how it is. And I couldn't change it. But like the race I put together there I was proud of that. I was very happy with that. Like, because of all the circumstances, like, yeah, if you get injured, you get injured. There's nothing you can rush in that. But the race I put together there, I was proud of, and I was as well proud of my team, how we managed that. So then I came home. The next race was Gran Canaria, which I lost my nutrition. And most of the athletes know as well, when you lose nutrition, it's kind of your day is kind of you can better go to the casino and put all your money on rap.
Yeah.
Then the chances of having a better turnout, is maybe better. So I was not proud of that race. Like the whole period leading up to that, I was just not happy. Like I missed a little bit of a touch. Then I got sick after, and I raced PTO Ibiza.
Yeah.
That's the race where I think I surprised myself the most. Because I was in the mix the whole race. And I came out of the water next to Bloomy. I was like, okay, we're actually doing this. So, and then on the bike, I could maintain my position and move up in the field. But I was still a bit like insecure about my bike. Like I still didn't really know what kind of biker I actually was compared to, of course, we have the Ditlevs and everything in our generation. Like, okay, how much can I lose on Ditlev is a good bike split, and not like what is my actual bike split. So I was happy with that. I kind of struggled to the run, but I was still happy how I put it together. And that was my best result until that date.
Where did that swim come from, eh?
Well, I have to say, like the focus from Carlos was always on the swim more than on the bike on the run. Because I told him as well, like, I just need to focus on my swim. I'm not such a good swimmer, but I don't know. I think it was a combination of confidence and as well, like, I think that was the same when we come to Lati. Like, whatever happens on the race, I just have to go as quick as possible from A to B.
Okay.
And when you approach a race like that, like, whatever comes in, like in the situation in the race, like it overcomes you. It's not like something you prepare for and that doesn't happen. Yeah. So, and then I raced the championship, which was good. Just had a shit swim, to be honest, and that kind of ruined my race. Then I raced Ironman 70.3 Luxembourg. Yeah. And I got a penalty there, 5 minutes. And if I look back on the result, I should have won that race.
Yeah, I remember.
Of course, it didn't happen. I got a penalty, and I have to accept that, and I did. But I had a very good bike and run there. I'm very happy with that. I think that's maybe the race that I had the most confidence after. Even what happened on the race itself, but like I gained so much confidence. I had a good swim, I had a very good bike, and I had a good run. The only shit thing is I got a 5-minute penalty. And if that's a good thing or a bad thing, like if it should or not should not happen, that's something I leave to the officials. Yeah. I know what I did. And if that's if I got a penalty for that, then I have to accept that. Then I raced Europe got national champ on the Olympic distance, which was very fun. Which is a nice exit, quick to take. And then I raced European champs, which I got sick before the race. Like, I think I never been that much sick or ill before a race than this year. And it just has something to do with my immune system. We haven't figured out exactly what, but my brother, one of the triplets, he has something with his immune system as well. And we think it's coming from there, but yeah, we have to go more into details with the whole medical staff and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lottie happened, and I honestly have no idea how that happened.
Now, I'm sure you were training like extremely hard. Do you think that's possibly why you got sick, maybe coming up into European champs, or were you pushing extra?
Well, we had a lot of family issues the week before the race. Like my cousin from 7, she passed away because of a brain tumor. And I knew before the race something was going on, like what wasn't going on so well. And then, yeah, of course, your head is with your family, so you have a lot of stress. And then I think as well, coming from the Girona heat, 40 degrees, to like a place like Tallinn where it's 17, 18, I was doing a course record in the rain. I haven't seen rain in 4 months here. So I think that combined with like stress and flying, it could all different kinds of reasons.
Sure.
I tried to control whatever I could control, and I did that well, but yeah, sometimes it happens. Like, you can't do anything. Why do the guys in Singapore get sick? It's the same question. Like, it can be of the water, but like, not everyone got sick. So yeah, things like that happen. And then we had just a difficult week after Lottie, I have to say, after Tallinn. But somehow I went with the same approach as I went in Ibiza into the race. I have to go as fast as possible from A to B. I know I train a lot. I know I train the right way. I have the tools to do it. Just whatever comes to me in a race, I know I have the machine to work with it. Like, I have the tools in my toolbox to work through the situation and to adapt on the situation. And if I can't, then that means that I'm not good enough yet as an athlete. And I really approached that race like that. I had a sticker on my bike with the name of my cousin, and the only thing I was looking at was that, and just focusing on what happens on the race. And I really took it step by step. Okay, 10 kilometers on the bike, 20, 30, 40, and on the run as well. Yeah, and then at one point you come in a race that you're in top 10, and then, you're going to think differently. Like, okay, if I pull this off very well, like, this can be career changing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the last 5 kilometers, I haven't stopped thinking about my niece. I was just thinking about her, and like, it gave me strength and it helped a lot. And I think that way I managed to come home 6th, which I'm very proud of, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I still, if I think about the race, if I think back on the race now, I'm like, I literally, I knew I was a good athlete, but I was just zoned out on that race so much. Like, I was so within myself and doing exactly what was a meter in front of me, and I wasn't thinking about what was behind or like what was around me. I think I haven't heard anyone cheering until I came over the finish line. Like,
jeez.
Yeah, I think it was one of those days.
That's incredible. One of my questions was like, why? Like, why? How? Did you get 6? But I think you kind of explained it there maybe a little bit.
Well, I was talking with my uncle as well before the race, and I really, I promised myself the week before the race, like, I really gonna give them something that can actually put a little bit of a smile back on their face. Like, I really wanna, when they're watching the race and they see me and everything goes well, I just really want to give them a reason to smile again, because they've been through so much. Like, it's just horrible. Like, there's just no words with it. And I think I was just free in my mind as well. Like, just, I don't know. It was really one of those days again. Like, if I think about it, actually gets even more stranger. But of course, like, in the whole lead up, if you go back on Training Peaks or whatever app you use, you see this is not coming from nothing. Like, you see the sessions I'm doing, if you see the power output I'm putting on the bike and the times I'm swimming in the pool and on the run, like it's not like it's science, but like science you can explain. If you look back on it, you can explain what happened and why it happened.
Yeah.
I always say like it's 80%, of course, it's preparation, but like the last 20% mental that decides on race what your position and outcome will be.
So I'm really interested in that. I've heard, guys like Lionel saying you can really transcend yourself in the race, and then hearing you say like your coach can predict your bike within 45 seconds. Do you feel like there still is that element of like you can really transcend what you're doing in training, or do you feel like, you have to really be training exactly that to race that way?
Well, I think it really depends on the person itself. Sure. I think, of course, we talk about Lionel. I think he's quite a character in our sport, and I have a lot of respect for him as well. What happened to him in the race in Lati, like, I think a lot of people said enough about it already, but like, he's such an icon for a sport, and he's so good for our like small sport compared to soccer or any other, like basketball. Like, but I think it's really like different approach. Like, first of all, I kind of hate data. I just take out what I want to take out of it, but I'm more like sometimes on the best runs I had off the bike, I forgot to start my watch, for example. I just went on feeling. And on the bike as well, like I have a power in my head, like let's say between 300 and 330 watts, and I will ride that. And whatever it is needed on the race day, I know with how my coach explained it to me and the Training Peaks files and the files he has, I know exactly how far I can go and how far I shouldn't go. So let's say I can go for like 5 minutes at 410 watts, but not much longer than that, because in the end of the race, if you see it moves all to the side and then you empty the tank too much. So I think it's a bit of both. I think as well, like, for example, like a friend of mine is racing this weekend in Nice. Like he really is like, his strength is to race the plan, like exactly the plan as he wants to. Like he has a plan the day before the race and he executed exactly until the last second, until the last number. Like that's his strength. I'm maybe more a racer, and that's maybe why, I don't know, but maybe in the future Ironman will be more difficult for me, because that's way more a planning race than actually racing full gas. Yeah.
That's something that interests you though, going long?
Yes, but not yet. I have to say this, when I started this year, I thought about it, maybe go long, but actually, why? Why would I to myself?
For sure. All right. Well, take me through a day in the life of Youri. What's it like?
What day you want? Like a hard day or easy day, or?
Let's do the most packed day. The full day.
Like, okay, I have 2 days. Maybe that's interesting now, because me and my coaches, we work in days. So like, okay, of course, every week has 7 days, but like we work in kind of days that have that kind of, like, how should I say, like the intention of the day is what we want to achieve, what system we want to train and what we want to achieve in that training. So let's say Monday is a recovery day, then that should be optimal for recovery. So we do nothing more than hour on the swim, 2 hours on the bike. And if I want to cut that session shorter because I'm tired, I can. But like, for example, I train on a Tuesday. That's more a VO2 max day. So every session I do is based on VO2 max. It's a very hard day, but it's not that long. But it takes a lot of energy out of your system. Like you really need to prepare the day before as well with carb loading and like you really need to prepare your session very well. So let's say I wake up at, normally in the Netherlands I would wake up at 7, but here, let's say in Spain, I wake up at 8:30. I go on a bike ride at around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then I go to a climb here that it's called Els and Gels, and I do VO2 max efforts on the bike. I do them on my TT bike,
Jeez.
which is quite different already. I'm not doing them on position, but just on the TT bike. So even if I sit in the saddle, that I still have to push watts on a more forward position.
Yeah.
Let's say a set I did before Lati was 3 sets of 3 by 3 minutes with 30 seconds rest. And the 3 minutes are around 450 watts. And the 30 seconds rest are just whatever you have. Like, it's not like just, that's the 30 seconds is just to get the pressure a little bit off the legs.
Okay.
Then I have 10 minutes recovery, and then I do that set again 3 times. It's a very hard set. It's short set, but it's a very hard set. Like, the amount of times that I had to sit on the side of the road because I was really wrecked is quite a lot.
Wow.
Then I come home, but the nice thing is if I'm done with the efforts, I'm on the top of the mountain, so I can descend, come home. I run to the track, that's a run off the bike. I run to the track. And that's a 3K to the track uphill, and then I have no other option, so I have to go to the track anyway. And then I do between 10 to 16 400s, but the 400s are with 200-meter recovery in 1 minute, and the 400s are under 108 on the 400. Jeez. So that's like all the time, like giving. Like kicking myself, and then I have a long recovery after that until the swim in the evening, and the swim could be like hundreds or 50s. It depends a bit on how smashed my legs are and what we want to achieve. Okay. So it depends a bit. Or we do 5 by 100s fast and that twice, or we do 10 by 50s. It depends a bit on how I feel on that day and how I can maintain my technique and skills in the water. Then on Wednesday, I have then I eat, of course, a lot.
Yeah.
And go to bed quite early. Like, I always try to sleep before 11 o'clock, even earlier if I had the chance. I never had a problem with sleeping, even when I wasn't a kid. So, yeah, it's maybe one of the strengths I didn't know I had. And then Wednesday is endurance day. That can be like long swim, 4 hours on the bike, and a long run, 90 minutes or more. I just need to eat a lot, and I need to be on point with whatever I'm doing. And what you actually see over a longer period of time, even those days become kind of recovery days because there's no intensity in it. It's just a very long day, and if you eat enough, you will make it anyway. And then on Thursday, and then I gave you nearly everything, but that doesn't matter. I have a more race simulation day. So that's more race efforts, a long run off the bike with race-based efforts, or a bit faster or a bit slower, and a swim on race-based as well. And then Friday is recovery day, and Saturday is strength day. And we do 10 by 3 minutes on the bike uphill with 3 minutes recovery. And that is sitting on the saddle, 60 RPM at 420 watts. So that's very high power on a very low cadence. And that training, that destroyed me so much at the beginning of the season, because you have to build towards that. Like, you start with 30 seconds, of course, but that gains, that's where I gained my bike strength from. I have to be that session. Yeah, it just creates strength, so much specific strength. And I think that's my key workout of the week. I hate that workout, or hate it. I don't know if I like it, but it's one of the key sessions in the week.
Wow. I really think that's interesting. Like, you seem to do such a variety throughout your week, but everything has a purpose.
Yeah, but as well, I think back in the days, it was all about long stuff, when you do 70.3 or full distance, you ride 6 hours on the bike and do 2 hour runs, and all with the under heart rate 120. Well, actually, you see now, if you go to the PTO tour or 70.3 worlds, it's nearly Olympic distance. Of course, we are riding on different bike, but it's nearly an Olympic distance intensity. I suffered more in 70.3 on lactate base than I ever did in Olympic distance. Jeez. It's just, you have to work from speed nowadays. You can't work from endurance anymore. And I think if you see the way I'm built and the testing we did in the lab as well, and like we did gen testing, I'm a speed type. Like I'm more a fast twitch athlete than I'm a slow twitch athlete. So I think that comes very handy if you push the right buttons in training in a week.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that. Like I see a lot of people, they focus on like one block will be strength and then one's VO2, It seems like you keep this throughout the year. Or do you focus at different times?
Of course, like for example, now I'm going to race Challenge San Remo in 3 weeks, and that's with a lot of climbing. So now I do my FTP efforts uphill. So in that kind of way, we try to adjust the training, but the main factor in the training, if it's FTP or VO2 max or strength, that will always stay. Okay. Of course, in the winter we build out like two sets of 3 by 30, 3 by 3 minutes, 10 by 3 minutes strength. But now we do just to maintain that level of torque and strength we can push on the pedal. So we maintain that. Gotcha. And we're not going to try to build it out anymore because that's what we do in the winter. But we always, like, at least that's how I believe, and that's how my coaches believe, we always have to trigger the system.
Yeah, I love that. So you said that strength session is on the bike has really changed that for you. But I know you said you started swimming at 15 and now you're swimming with Blue at the Ibiza. What has been like the biggest game changer on the swim? I think it's such a hot topic because a lot of, the bike run athletes, are seeming to struggle more and more these days, but, you've been a lot of people looking to get to that top level swim. What's been a big game changer for you?
Well, I think at the beginning, first of all, I never accepted I'm a bad swimmer. Like I never accepted that for myself. And I think I just started at the right moment. I think if I waited a year or 2 years more, I think that would be very difficult to learn the technique the proper way. So the first thing I did was when I started swimming at age of 15, I just went to someone at my local swimming club and I asked, anyone here who can help me with the technique? And I started and I couldn't swim at 50 meters, but like slowly through the period of time in a half year, like you kind of improve over time in your technique and in your swimming anyway. So if I look back now, of course, I'm not always swimming the same level, but like I have some moments that I swim a bit weaker and some moments that I swim a bit better. But if you look over the full period, always what comes back is I always swim good after a long block of technique. So I think the most important thing about swimming is technique and efficiency. Like, can you maintain that technique for an amount of time? And if you look back in triathlon, it's only 20 minutes, 25 minutes that we have to perform in the water. So you only have to try and train to maintain technique for 25 minutes at a high speed. Like we don't have to do that amount of hours in the water as we do on the bike. So I think, first of all, to find someone that can really detail help you with the technique, before you're going to use paddles, before you're going to use a pull buoy, before you're going to use fins, just get the stroke right. And it doesn't matter how long that takes, as long as you get the right stroke for you right. And if you swim a 400 in 12 minutes, but with the right technique, that's better than swim a 400 in 8 minutes, but like your technique is completely wasted. Because over the longer period of time, you will eventually end up swimming 6 minutes over 400 meters and not 8 minutes anymore. So I think that's the key thing for me, efficiency and technique.
That, I think, is just a brilliant piece of advice that I'm going to soundbite and share because, I feel like, because for me, I was like feeling so guilty. I felt like I was in church there. So,
but as well, like, I think what helps me as well is look a lot at the swim course before. If you know it's going to be a wetsuit swim, pay a bit more attention in swimming on the wetsuit the days, like the weeks before the race. Like, I think as well, swimming is such a confidence sport. Like when I speak to fast swimmers before the race, they're very hyped up and I'm like, oh, I'm happy when I'm on the bike. I think it's such a confidence because like you kind of zoomed out of the whole world. Like you have no idea what's around you. you only have, like, you're in the water, you can't hear people around you, you can only see what's ahead of you. So I think it's a really confidence thing as well. So if you do a race specific set and it's a wetsuit swim and it's cold or it's in choppy water, try to recreate the circumstances you're going to race in as well. And I think that helps a lot with your confidence.
I love that. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So you said Challenge San Marino's next.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you though, what are your big goals now that you're a couple of years into this? Have you like some massive goals that you want to achieve, or are you just loving the journey, or do you think in goals, or
like, for example, Mathieu van der Poel, I always think that he has a list above his bed and he just checks it every year.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not like that. I just really love the sport and the process in the sport, like to become a better athlete, to kind of start with nothing and end up with a 6th place in the world or a world medal or Olympic medal. Like, I love that process. But of course I have goals. Like, when I talk with my coaches, we're not talking about, okay, yeah, if you can push 300 watts on the bike here, then that would be nice. No, we talk about like race results, because in the end, that's where the sponsor contracts come from. That's where the money comes from. That's like, you can train very hard, but like underperform in a race, that's just nearly impossible if you train the right way.
Yeah.
So of course, like, I have to show it on race day. Like, I can train as hard as I want, but if I'm not getting the pieces together on race day, it has no, who am I fooling then?
Yeah.
So of course, after Lati, of course, my goal next year is to be on the podium in the 70.3 worlds. Like, I can't, if you come 6th in the world, like, the next following step should be podium then.
Yeah.
But again, I think the lesson I learned the most is, like, there's no such thing as a perfect preparation. And if someone says he had a perfect preparation, he's probably lying.
Yeah.
So I just want to enjoy myself and look back in like 8 or 10 years and tell my kids or whoever I'm talking to and say, you know what, I had a bloody amazing time and I enjoyed my life so much. And yes, I want to win major PTO events. Yes, I want to get the world champion medal or be world champion long distance or short distance. Of course, you can ask me all those questions and I will all say yes. But I think the very most important thing is, and I learned that as well after being part of the federation, is that I just have a very amazing time and that I really leave something behind me when I'm done with my career that I think like, gosh, I'm proud of that. And I hope people will see me like that as well. So that's maybe my biggest goal. And then, of course, all the other goals. But I just want to have fun the most as possible.
Oh, that's great. Honestly, just the fact, I can't believe that you're 24. Like, that's mind blowing. I know your birthday is coming up, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. But it seems like, I mean, you're mentally really sharp and strong. And I was talking to somebody.
Not always.
No, okay. Well, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how important is that to you, the mental side of things? Do you train that? Is that something you often think about for a race day?
Well, we can be honest here. Like, I think there's a bit of a taboo in sports about like mental awareness and mental health and athletes. Athletes should perform on race day and don't come with complaints or excuses on race day. Like, if you do, you're weak, which I think is, it's just difficult, you know, like we can say that it's not always nice to be an athlete. We can say that. And we have the most amazing job we can wish for. Like, if you look at the office we have, like Finland, that's amazing. Like, I've been in amazing places in the world, but like, we can't deny that there is another side of the medal as well, like sickness before a race or have to pull out before a race of injury or losing sponsor contracts or you name it. So first of all, what I do is I go every once a week or twice every month to a psychologist. Wow. And I just talk about literally everything. And the nice thing is he has no idea about the sport. Of course, now I'm talking with him a bit more, but like he knows a bit what I'm doing and he's actually following the race. But he just has no, like, if I ask him, and sorry if Sam is going to listen to this, but like, who's Sam Long? He has no idea. And that's, while he is for us an icon in the sport, which I kind of love because I can just filter myself. Like I can just completely let everything go, and he puts me back on track again. So that's the first thing I do. And the second thing I do is when I started working 10 years ago with my sponsors, it's like a group of sponsors, local sponsors from the Netherlands, and they kind of fund money for me so I can maintain my career. And those people are not sponsors. Those people are like mentors for me. Like everyone in the group who helps me has something in their business or in their private life that they can give me along my road to actually make me a better person. If that's when I'm flying and they say you have to take a bit more care of the environment you are, or if that's a deep conversation about what actually the purpose is in life for them. And one of the things that he said when I was 17, when I started working with them, is trust the process and the result will take care of itself. And every time I'm a bit lost, I think about that conversation. I actually have the note still here hanging where he wrote it down. And it sounds so like standard, but it's such an important thing for me. Like when I'm lost in my head or things not going so well, it's always because I'm thinking about the result and not about what actually matters is the day-to-day work you put in. So I think that's the most important advice I ever got from someone along the road.
Actually, one of my next questions then was, do you have like a mantra or something you repeat on race day, or but maybe is that it? Is it like just trust the process?
I think it's every time a bit different, because when I won Ironman Switzerland 70.3, my girlfriend, she had a horrible accident in the car, with the car as a cyclist. So I kind of give myself a reason to race. Like I kind of put like, I don't know, like when I raced Miami, just the Ukrainian war was going on that time. And my coach is from the Ukraine. So I put a Ukrainian heart on my start number and on my helmet, and I was racing for him. So I think it's maybe not a mantra. It's maybe more a reason to perform.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, I don't know. I get the end of that. I like that a lot. And but I talk a lot to myself in training and racing. I think we always have that self-talk, and everyone has his own reasons, like, or his own ways of thinking, like, or calculations in a race. Like, okay, 5K, so that's like less than 20 minutes. I should be under the shower or something like that in a race. Like, okay, that's how I think then.
Cool. Thanks for those insights. That's fun. All right. I know I've kept you. We're here an hour already, but it feels like 10 minutes to me. I can't believe it. No, I was saying that for you because I know it's later over there. But man, I think we got to move on to talk about Nice real quick. The hot question for you. Tell me about, give me your picks, but also give me a bold take or a bold prediction about something that might happen in the race.
All right. You want podium picks or just the winner?
Let's do podium.
All right. I think Magnus Ditlev is going to murder everyone.
Oh.
I think we're going to see something very special on that day. And I have my reasons for that. And I will explain. He skipped PTO Ibiza. PTO Singapore.
Yep.
Skipped Lati. And what we saw in Singapore and Lati, both, was Singapore took a lot out of the athletes. And then they start racing Lati. And all the time when I was in a race and someone from Singapore was in front of me, I know I had to pass them very quick because they were probably sick or they had a shit travel or they were just not fit enough on race day.
Yeah.
So I think his approach to Nice, as well with his coach and as well with, the way he approached Nice, I think no one else did that that well.
So specific.
Then my second pick is Max Newman. I don't know, but I like that so much about that guy. Like, we don't hear anything from him the whole year, and he just performs on race day.
I actually think he's just out of the race. I don't think he's racing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just looked up the start list at Ironman, so I think that's a problem.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, then I go for Clement Mignon.
Oh, yeah.
Same reason. Young guy, I think he's a better 70.3, a better full distance athlete than a 70.3 athlete. Trained a lot with Magnus, knows exactly what he should do. And then my third pick is Jan.
Yeah.
I think everyone loves a little bit of a fairy tale. He should end with a podium at least, and who knows more. But I think what we saw in Milwaukee as well, I think the speed is a little bit out, but the endurance and the grit is even more there than there ever was before. And he wants to end his Ironman career on a very high note. So I think there will come something out of that we don't expect or haven't seen him doing yet. And then my dark horse, of course, I have to say that's a friend of mine. He's same age as me. His name is Nick Haldorn. Yeah. And he's exactly racing his plan. So you will see him going from start to finish the way he planned his race. And all the guys, you will see the times drop or get more, or lose time.
Yeah.
For him, it stays super stable. And I think he had a good preparation towards Nice. I just really hope for him that he makes a top 15.
That'd be awesome.
And then for the top 5, I would say Brandon Curry as well as my top pick. You haven't seen much of him this year.
Yeah.
But I think he's surprising.
I think so. He'll be at the
front. Who are you going then?
Oh man, I'm going Jan for the win, but that's just because I'm the biggest fan ever, blah blah blah. Just made a video where I'd spend a day in his life, so I've got to pick him. And then I think Magnus for a second. If I feel like if Jan can get away in the swim maybe and have a couple of people on the bike to hold Ditlev off, then it would be a really good run battle if they get off the bike together. I think they'd run very similar, would be my guess. And then I think, Braden Curry or Cameron Worth is who I'm keeping my eye on.
And Lange?
And Lange, oh my goodness. Yeah, Lange, I think Lange will either win or get maybe 5th, I think.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. It's just I probably know who will have the fastest run split, by the way.
Oh,
That's
Chebro?
from Germany.
Oh, no.
Jonas Hoffmann. He did the Ironman Nice 70. Oh, no, I did Ironman Nice there. I think he run under 240 there.
Okay.
And it was extremely hot, hotter than it's this weekend. So
cool. I'll have
I
to
pay attention to him as well. Just a little insight.
I love that. Because that'll give me some insight. Because I plan to do a watch along on my channel where people can watch with me, and now I have some inside information. I'll be like, I knew Jonas.
I wouldn't pick him for top 15 or something, but just pay attention on his run. He got third in Ironman Nice, that's where he qualified. So I think he's a lightweight guy. I think it's a good race for him.
I love it. All right, we'll move on from there. One last hot question. If you could do one thing for the pro athletes that you would like to change about the sport, what would it be?
Race Ranger.
All right. Simple. Love it.
Make Race Ranger and get all the discussion of penalties out of it.
Yeah.
If you put the money in Race Ranger and develop it even more, and I don't know, people called me Mr. Penalty, fair enough. I got penalties last year. I take that and maybe I will even use it as a marketing put Race Ranger on every bike, every event, develop the brand and the device even more, and we are done with the discussion of who's drafting and who's not. Yeah. And I think that will make the sport even more professional.
And I think it's good for us fans too, because it's heartbreaking watching athletes left and right fall away and we don't know why.
It's of course judges and officials, they do their job pretty well, and I think they maintain the race safe and fair. But there's just too much decision in the hands of someone who doesn't see us racing every weekend and is on a motorbike on just a split moment. So you have no idea what happened 20 minutes before or 10 minutes after, or you have no idea so his decision, and that's not the mistake of the judge nor the athlete, is based on a moment. For example, Lionel got the penalty in St. George or in Lati, but before that, he brought the whole group back to where it was when he got the penalty. If you see him doing that, he never deserved the penalty, even not for the way he got it. So make it more visible for everyone.
Cool. I love that. Sweet. I think a lot of people say, improve coverage or make the sport bigger, but I feel like you have to get those little things right. Like if the sport just blew up and then all of a sudden like new faces were watching and they saw Lionel get the center line penalty, it would be like, what am I watching,
So, but
cool.
Yeah, it's all right. On me.
Yeah, fair. All right. Okay. Last thing, some rapid fire questions. Hope you're ready. All right. First thing, what do you love most about triathlon?
The 3 disciplines.
All right. All 3? Come on, you gotta give me one.
Like the fact, running.
Running. Okay.
Yeah.
Biggest game changer that you've made in triathlon?
Doing torque sessions on the bike.
Cool. All right. I think a lot of people are going to be intrigued hearing about that earlier.
Can always ask.
What's that?
They can always ask.
Cool. Heck yeah. Organized or unorganized?
Organized.
Are there any areas where you're disorganized?
Yes.
Where?
Yes. My house is clean and neat and organized, but I have my spots that if you open that cabin, that you think like, okay, quick close it. Like everything falls out. So I think I have that as well in like life. Like I'm very organized overall, but there are some corners if there are some places in me, if you touch them or if you think like, okay, close it quick. So I think it's maybe more after the race. Like I'm very organized before a race. Like everything has a spot, even in a hotel room. And then when I'm done, I just put everything in a bike box, close it, and.
I don't blame you after going that hard. I don't blame you. All right. Hip hop or rock?
Ooh, this is difficult because I love both. Rock.
All right. So, do you have a favorite? What's that?
But I'm not a rocker. Like I'm not having a ECDC on my arm tattooed or something like that. But
yeah,
I just love my rock sessions during FTP rides or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, ECDC or whatever. Like, yeah.
I love that. Heck yeah. I'm the same. Pasta or pizza?
Pasta, 100%.
Yes, thank you. A lot of pizza fans, but I'm a pasta fan.
Did your mom when you were younger, did your mom made amazing pasta?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why. I had to say.
Yes, my mom's half Italian, so I have a high standard. Cool. Sprint finish or dominate the race?
Dominate the race.
Okay. All right. I thought maybe you with short course background, you might enjoy a sprint, dominate.
Yeah, but you have no idea how much stress there is with a proper sprint finish, especially in 70.3. Like you have to really time it and prepare for it. Like you don't have the time to do that, actually. Like think about it and just dominate the race. It's like, here I am.
Here I am. Cool. Swim, bike, or run? If you had to cut one out, what would it be? I think
swim.
Yeah. That was an easy one. All right.
But no one likes to swim, right? No one is like standing at 7 o'clock on the pontoon with a wetsuit on. It's cold and thinking like, "This is it. I'm having fun now." Like, always a bit of a thing.
Fair. That's fair. Maybe I'll have to change that question out because I haven't got many swimmers saying to swim. I've got a couple, but I love that. Awesome, Youri. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add and let folks know where to follow you?
I'm active on Instagram. Okay. Just my name with a little underscore in between. Actually, no. I'm thankful for the people that listen. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here in your podcast and speak about who I actually am. And if people have questions about my training, about anything, please ask, because the mistakes we made in the past, you don't have to make them anymore. Just ask us. And we are always open for any communication. So feel free to reach out.
Cool. That's so nice. And I feel like I've learned so much already. So people, please do reach out to Youri. And we'll be all cheering you on at Challenge San Marino. After that, is there got a couple more on the list?
I'm racing Barcelona and then Challenge Pajera in Mallorca and Ironman 70.3 Bahrain. So
fun.
yeah, there's a plan about that as well. So
all right, I'll keep my eyes
more
on.
about it, just ask me.
I will. I'll be sliding in your DMs for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a busy year, and yeah, I just can't wait to see where you go with it, man.
Thanks a lot.
All right, cheers. Have a good night.
Cheers.